Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Linda Anderson, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Sergeant Renee Bos. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Patrick Kiely and warmly welcome his family who are in attendance. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Patrick Francis Kiely. Patrick Kiely, known as Paddy, was born on the 8th of October 1886 in Cork, Ireland. To Joseph Kiely and Elizabeth Nay Humphreys, he was the first of their 11 children. He grew up in Cork, where he attended the Christian Brothers School. After leaving school, he spent 5 years as an apprentice engineer, most likely for the Cork, Brandon and South Coast Railway, which was in the process of expanding as other lines were connected to increase the train services. At the start of 1911, Kiely and one of his younger brothers, Bert, took up an offer by the Midland Railway of Western Australia to purchase farmland and receive assisted passage to Australia. They arrived in Fremantle on the 8th of May and were soon on the land. By the time the First World War began in August 1914, Kiely was living in Kalgoorlie and working as an engineer for the West Australian Government Railways. He enlisted for service in the Australian Imperial Force on the 12th of November, and after his initial training was allotted to the 2nd Reinforcements to the 11th Australian Infantry Battalion. He sailed from Fremantle aboard the transport ship Itinus on the 22nd of February 1915, bound for Egypt. After only a brief stop at Egypt, the ship sailed to Lemnos, where Kiely joined the 11th Battalion on the 22nd of April. He became a member of Charlie Company, which was led by Major Raymond Lean. The day he arrived, the men of the 11th and the other battalions of the 3rd Brigade were issued ammunition and were making final preparations before the landing at Gallipoli, which was then only days away. Charlie Company was one of two from the 11th Battalion that would be part of the initial covering force. Kiely and his comrades in Charlie Company sailed aboard HMS London to Gallipoli during the night of the 24th of April. In the pre-dawn hours the next morning, they clambered down into their assigned rowboats and were towed towards the shores of Gallipoli. Just after 4:30 a.m. on the 25th of April, the first boats grounded on the beach near Arubuni. Lean organised his men quickly on the beach and led them, under increasingly heavy fire, towards the hill that became known as Pluggy's Plateau. Patrick Kiely was believed to have been killed during a charge as the men advanced inland, though the manner of his death was not recorded. He was listed as missing in action, and by the time inquiries were being made as to his whereabouts, most of the men who had been with him during the landing were dead. Other members of the battalion gave conflicting reports of his death, which caused much confusion to his family. It was not until a court of inquiry held at Fleteur in France on the 10th of April 1916 that Kiely's fate was changed from missing in action to killed in action on the 25th of April 1915. He was 28 years old. Patrick Kiely's remains were either never found or never identified after the war. His name was added to the Lone Pine Memorial at Gallipoli. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Patrick Francis Kiely, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.